5, 4, 3, 2.
Crank it, Jerry.
Welcome to Into the Wild, the official podcast of the Washington Wild Pigs.
What do you hear? What do you say?
It's the best sports podcast in the world. Wait, is that true?
If you're committed enough, you can make any story. I once convinced a woman that I was Kevin Costner, and it worked because I believed it.
Now, here's your host, Kyle Dawson.
Did you get the popcorn?
Back on the Wild Things Baseball Network for our on-air post-game show, as well as our Into the Wild podcast highlights. A winner for Washington here on June 4th of 2024, 8-2 the final. The Wild Things knock off the Windy City Thunderbolts, and the Wild Things keep rolling. They've only lost 3 times since the first 3 games of the year. 15-6 now for Washington on the 2024 season. Kyle Dawson, Danny Erb back with you. Let's start with the scoring. It would begin after a scoreless top of the first with 2 strikeouts for left-handed starter Kobe Foster for Washington a few years ago. 2-2 home from Kobe, swing and a miss. And Feltz is down on strikes. Here's Kobe's 0-2 pitch to Johnson, and it is called strike 3. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. More on him in a moment. The Wild Things would come to the plate in the bottom of the first inning and get a leadoff single by Caleb McNeely. He would go to third on a pass ball by J.J. Figueroa that would have him lifted from the game. He kind of dogged it back to the backstop. And a couple batters later, Tommy Caulfield knocked in Caleb McNeely with an RBI bounce out to first for the All-Star break. Payoff home to Caulfield, rolled toward first, backhanded by the first baseman. They'll step on the bag, but the run will score as Johnson makes the play but sees McNeely scamper across with the game's first run. In the second inning, with 1 out, J.C. Santini drew a walk, stayed on the bases because of an error on a throw by Ethan Lopez towards second on the fielder's choice off the bat of Evan Berkey. That made it first and second. And then the error would allow Santini and Berkey to move up 90 more feet apiece and make it second and third for the leadoff man, Caleb McNeely, who picked up the first of his 5 RBI on the night with a ground out to second base that made it 2-0 Washington. Pindell's pause. Next delivery home to McNeely is fisted towards second base, will score a run. Santini in as McNeely grounds home Washington's second run. In the bottom of the third inning, Tommy Caulfield reached on an error, the second of the game, by Ethan Lopez, the second baseman. He would steal second during Wagner Legrande's at-bat, who would strike out. Andrew Check waved out to Pindell. A walk to Quincy Lattimore later brought in Robert Chayka, who hit a book roll double, or a ground roll double, rather, to the left field corner. It got under the fence and made it 3-0 as Caulfield would come around to score as Chayka picked up RBI number 9 on the year. He's been okay at times, but a 6.75 ERA. Line drive, left field line into the corner for Robert Chayka. Extra bases. It will score Tommy Caulfield. The ball has gone underneath the gate, and that means Quincy Lattimore will have to go back to third base, but it is a run-scoring ground roll double. Then the Wild Things would score 4 runs in the bottom of the 5th inning. 2 outs, a single by Robert Chayka. He stole second base, didn't matter. J.C. Santini walked behind him. And then a bunt single by Evan Berkey loaded the bases for center fielder Caleb McNeely. And this time, true to Danny's wishes, the ball left the yard to right and visible. Yep. Very, very visible to right for a grand slam, Washington's first of the year, which made it a 7-0 Washington lead.
For Caleb McNeely. Here's the pitch to McNeely, and McNeely sends that one out to right field, back towards the warning track, and that ball is gone. We will smell you later, ball. A grand slam for Caleb McNeely, and that opens up the floodgates for the Wild Things. Caleb McNeely with a grand slam. That ball was hammered to right field, and 4 RBIs for McNeely. Way to do it.
In the top of the 7th, Windy City got one of its 2 runs in the contest on a RBI double by J.R. Hevelin. That came against Nick McDonald, who gave up a run in relief, and Kobe Foster's day ends after 6 innings with 8 strikeouts, matches a season high, 3 hits and 3 walks, 86 pitches, 55 for strikes, with some pretty big highlights for Kobe Foster. Pause by Foster at no balls and 2 strikes to the 9-hitter Lopez, and he gets a swing and a miss. 4 strikeouts for Foster. Shazam.
That is strike 3 called inside part of the plate, and Bursing will sit down on strikes. 2 strikes. And that one is a strike 3, called looking, curveball, found the middle of the zone.
The inning for McDonald ended with a bare hand play that we'd be remiss not to show you in this highlight package if you're not watching or listening live. So here that is. There goes the runner ahead start, 3-2, barehanded by McDonald. And tossed along the first base to get him out of the inning.
That was sick.
And then the 8th inning belonged for Washington to Frankie Giuliano, who would load the bases with a couple of walks and a single, but struck out 2 in the inning and got out of it unscathed. Through 29 pitches in his scoreless inning of relief, Justin Goosen Brown allowed a run in the top of the 9th inning for Windy City, but that came after a Wagner-Lagrange RBI single in the bottom of the 8th inning that made it, at the time, an 8-1 lead with 1 out the pitch. Line towards center field, base hit. A bullet picked up by Feltz around third, and coming toward home is a run, and it will score for the Washington Wild Things. The run in the top of the 9th inning brought us to our final of 8-2. The winning pitcher in the ball game, Kobe Foster, he is 3-0. The loser is Buddy Pindell. He falls to 2-2, and there is no save. Time of the game was 2 hours and 49 minutes, and it was played in front of an announced attendance tonight of 1,776 at Wild Things Park. 1776 on Blackout Breast Cancer Night with a jersey auction presented by our friends at 84 Lumber. The final line totals for the Windy City Thunderbolts, it is 2 runs on 9 hits, 2 errors, and the Thunderbolts on the road here leave 12 aboard. Washington, 8 runs on 13 hits, 1 error, and the Wild Things left 9. Windy City, with the loss, falls to 9-14. Washington goes to 15-6 on the year, and still at minimum is it tied for first place in the Frontier League's West Division. Before we get Danny's thoughts on the ball game, let's just get one refresh here. The Schaumburg Boomers and Florence Yalls are tied in the bottom of the 7th, so you'll have to take a look at the Frontier League website for whoever wins that game, and if Washington is alone in first place again for the second time this season. But that's a good win. Danny, behind a real good start from Kobe Foster, 6 shutout innings, and the offense came to life and took advantage of mistakes, which is what good teams do.
Yeah, Kobe Foster was dominant, and I think that was the real X factor. I mean, you can say that McNeely's grand slam was, but when you can go 6 innings, no runs, and he was dominant. The whole game. I think he had let's count it up here. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so he had 6 strikeouts in just 6 innings. I mean, Foster, he pitched his fourth what would you say, Kyle? His 4th good game or whatever.
4th quality start in a row.
Yep. That's what it's called. Quality start. He's come alive, and he's obviously the Wild Things premier pitcher as of right now, and it also helps when the bats are swinging, and they certainly did that. Obviously McNeely had that grand slam, but even if he didn't have that grand slam, the Wild Things would still win 4-2. The bats were they were alive today, and when the pitching and the bats come alive, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do, especially with this team that's just so active, and it's a great club. And today was just a really sound, solid win, and you got to be happy about that in the locker room.
Try to keep the roll going tomorrow at 5-5 at home now. Zach Kirby will take the mound in the middle game against John Mikolajczyk for the Windy City Thunderbolts. That game is at 6:05 p.m. tomorrow. First pitch is at 6:05 with the gates opening here at Wild Things Park at 5 p.m. or earlier. If you are a season ticket holder or someone in a premium area, they would open at 4:45 for you. It is a Senior Slugger Program Wednesday presented by AARP Pennsylvania, and it's Dollar Dog Night thanks to our friends at Burke's Foods. If you can't make it to the ball game tomorrow, and of course tickets are available by calling the ticket return box office at 866-456 WILD. That's 866-456-WILD. Or at the Ticket Return Box Office, or at the Ticket Return Box Office coming to the game, or online at WashingtonWildThings.com. All those options. If you can't make it, Danny and I will be here to bring it to you on the Wild Things Baseball Network, on MixLR or Flow Baseball, whichever you tune us in on. And we appreciate you being someone who heard it tonight. You either saw or heard or did both.
We're really trying to
on
make
the
that
Wild
work, huh?
Things. It's going to stick. On the Wild Things Baseball Network, you have heard it. Adam
on a
Feth,
shirt.
Dylan North, and Connor Hoy, our camera operators, Carlin Whalen on the ones and twos over there producing the show, and Mike Greco, our director, for all the gang in the press box and at the Washington Wild Things. We thank you for tuning in, and we say we'll see you tomorrow for the middle game of the 3-game series. Washington will look to make it 4 wins in a row after winning 8-2 this evening against the Windy City Thunderbolts. Good night.